Ladies and gentlemen, Axie Infinity is officially dead. Or is it? That's what we're going to be exploring in this video. It's been almost 2 years since our anniversary of creating content on this channel, as well as the crypto gaming space. And one thing started it all. It was Axie Infinity, the cryptocurrency game that took the space by storm. I mean, millions upon millions of daily active users. Axie Infinity was and still perhaps is a titan in the cryptocurrency gaming space. This is Classy Games, and we are actually quite the controversial figure when it comes to Axie Infinity. In fact, if you go to the most popular videos on our channel today, you're going to see something that's a little bit weird. In fact, that video is why I sold my Axies. This was back near the peak of Axie Infinity, and now we are in 2023, where Sky Mavis has done a lot, and now things are looking a little bit different. Now, let's get the elephant out of the room. Ronin has been hacked, $650 million. Axie Infinity has come back very strong since this has happened. They've pretty much just gone ahead and covered it themselves. Binance has come out and kind of said that, and now we're at this state where the Ronin blockchain is possibly the most impressive decentralized exchange on the entire crypto gaming space. In fact, I don't think it's a contest. I'm pretty sure Ronin is the best in the entire space at the moment. Of course, a lot of this is subject to change. You might be watching this 3 months later and something else can be out there. But right now, as it stands, Ronin by far is the best in the crypto gaming space. Axie Infinity is so easy to use. I mean, you go to these, you go to the actual marketplace for Axie Infinity, and it is absurdly easy to use. Since I've left, they've actually gone ahead and added offer systems. This wasn't a thing back then, and they take somewhere around 4.25%. All the typos in the world right now. 4.25% of all transactions to go ahead and fund their operations, which is fine. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. If the buyer agrees the game is getting a majority of profits in that very small transaction over time, that's okay. But overall, the user experience is good. The users are getting 6.75%. I don't want to do too much math. My brain will explode. I probably got it wrong. But yeah, it would be a fair amount, to say the least. Anyway, looking at floor prices, they're doing their thing on Axie Infinity. If you look at accessories, they're still doing their thing. Lands have gone down pretty significantly from where they were. I have actually spoken to quite a few people on Axie Infinity because I wanted to, create a fair take here. And here's what they've kind of said in regards to asset depreciation, the cost of things going down. For one, remember, these are games at the end of the day. You shouldn't base your opinion on a game solely based on the fact that the prices of something aren't going that well. That's the first thing I want to get out there. The second thing I want to actually talk about is the fact that land staking is actually very lucrative right now. I mean, I don't personally own any Axie Infinity assets, but from what I've seen, maybe not Savannah plots. They have, I think, 30-40% APR, maybe even less, I believe. It's like 20 to 30%. But if you go all the way to like maybe an Arctic plot that's 1.7 ETH right now, these are returning somewhere around 50%. So it's pretty lucrative right now in terms of if you see EXS possibly bouncing at some point, this could be worthwhile. But this is the problem with Axie Infinity, because it feels like when you talk about Axie Infinity, you're not talking about Axie Infinity the game. You're talking about Axie Infinity the token. You're talking about Ronin the blockchain. You're talking about so many things that are external, because at the end of the day, Axie Infinity as a game isn't very fun. Axie Infinity Origin takes way too long to get through rounds. It just doesn't feel fun. People rage all the time. Axie Infinity Classic V2, which is the version we played back when we were playing Axie Infinity, it's a poker simulator. Maybe some people are better at playing poker than me, which is a thing that happens in the real world. I'm definitely not the best at poker, but to say the least, it's a poker simulator. People buy assets, they do what they do. It's not the most fun experience in the world. However, okay, this is the big however here, they recently had some big wins in the overall gaming space, as Axie Infinity is that much closer to getting put onto mobile play stores, which is exactly what you want to get that mass adoption on your game. Another thing that they've done is Philip Law has actually gone ahead and rebranded Axie Infinity essentially to be a play and earn game. Earning is secondary. They're focusing more on the gameplay, which is great. But I do think that where Axie Infinity shines is the fact that they have so much money. I don't know how to say it. There's no sugarcoating. They have a lot of money. They did really well during the bull market, and they now have enough funds to actually build this out. And so maybe an Axie Infinity kind of sucks, but it doesn't mean that the entire Ronin blockchain sucks. Ronin as a whole has plenty of things and incentives that make people want to go into blockchains. You know what the biggest incentive to get into a blockchain is? It's called money. I mean, that's the reason that they're going to get on here. Wonderful decentralized exchange, but the main thing is money. If you've got enough money to incubate projects onto your ecosystem, you're going to be doing pretty damn good. It's something we're seeing on Gala Games right now, where Gala is buying companies and gaming studios which are in the midst of developing their game, and they're like, hey, we'll give you some money, go to Gala Games. Boom, you've got more on Gala Games. It's a wonderful strategy. Being the publisher is so much easier. They're a better publishing company than an actual production gaming company. And I think the same can be said with Sky Mavis. They did a wonderful job of revolutionizing the crypto space with a, fundamental concept. Feedback loop obviously was unsustainable, and here we are today in, whatever state we are. Early birds made a lot of money, and the rest are in this very awkward position. But Sky Mavis has enough runway at this point where they can kind of just buy out games, and they could just get them to release on the Ronin blockchain. I mean, we have the Machines Arena, which I have played actually quite a bit of. I'm a big MOBA person, okay? And I will give the Machines Arena its props. I'll be the first one to say it. This gameplay looks terrible on Twitter. Gameplay on Twitter looks awful. This is obviously an HD or whatever, but I think the Machines Arena looks cool. I don't know if I would go as far as to say that the gameplay loop looks unique or very fun, because I still think there's a lot of little things that they have to improve in the game. If you wanted an example of this, I just feel like there's zero attachment to characters in this game. There is zero truly unique abilities that when you use them, you go like, wow. If you've got a guy that has a flamethrower, he just throws a bigger flame. Wow, that's so cool. He doesn't turn into a phoenix or something and just start hamming out there and going crazy. He just does more fire, which is not very cool. But if they can get it right and they can make it interesting enough, the Machines Arena could absolutely be a game that blows up and is super fun. And the cool thing about the Machines Arena is they're not even really trying to be a crypto game. Let's be honest. They're just trying to be a game that has skins that you could buy in crypto probably. And then you could just have fun on it. You just conquer Black Site, the intense new PvP pushback map. They're just talking about a bunch of stuff and beta and loyalty rewards. That's it. Exclusive collectible skins. Great. There's no play and earn or whatever. It's just play the Machines Arena, have some fun, and go from there, which I think is great because Axie Infinity is beginning to expand outward where they have the ability to actually, as Sky Mavis, purchase some of these titles and make them go toward their blockchain. I mean, this is powered by the Ronin network, which is awesome. We love to see that. But let's wrap this back into Axie Infinity because this has nothing to do with Axie Infinity. This is just Sky Mavis. So in terms of Axie Infinity, if we're just talking about the game, I think the game sucks. However, this is the big but here. League of Legends came from Dota 2. I think Dota sucks. I think Warcraft 3 sucks. Warcraft 3 was the predecessor. It was the game before Dota 2 and Dota. Dota only came out because it was a mod on Warcraft. And that mod ended up being very successful. And then people ended up modding Dota and they created League of Legends. Now League of Legends is very successful. So I think the ability to mod these games and have the IP out there and able to be built upon can create these unique opportunities where you get these really cool games that actually end up coming out. In fact, I think of Axie Doll as being one of those examples of someone in the community for Axie Infinity that is very passionate and really wants to see things work out. He goes ahead, builds Defenders of Lunacian Land. That game looks awesome. That game performs well. I think the game is fine. I don't think of it as bad personally at all. And there you go. You've got an extra game out there using the Axie Infinity intellectual property. So the opportunity does lie in the sense that perhaps Axie Infinity as the original game may not be successful long term. Maybe it will be, maybe it won't. It's a gamble at this point, really. But in terms of all the other games, I'm looking forward to a lot of these different titles that maybe are mini games or maybe end up being fully fleshed out titles that end up coming up from very passionate community members and just end up making Axie Infinity a success. Sure, land is profitable to some extent for some people if they want to take the risk, and there are several other places that you can get into that might make you money. And honestly, the whole yield thing and the whole like gaming, the price of things going up and down, that's its own game in itself. You could consider that a game. Like if you think of Axie Infinity prices going up, down, sideways, whatever the heck you want to call them, that could be a game in itself, and that is perfectly fine to have. However, the future of Axie Infinity lies in the community's ability to leverage Sky Mavis connections, to leverage what Axie Infinity has built and create something of a product that is actually more fun. Because, of course, Axie Infinity is fun to some people, but to a majority of people, the loop just doesn't really attract confidence in terms of the dopamine rush in my cerebrum. Perhaps that's opinionated, and I think that's a perfectly fine take to have as well. But I feel like a lot of the people that are going off Axie Infinity are going off Axie Infinity in terms of like, oh, the market cap of Axie Infinity is down. It's down 96.19%. But then they forget about the fact that people are staking, making a ton of money off that, the yield off that. Every other crypto gaming project has nearly capitulated. There's maybe leave a comment here. How many creators on YouTube right now are covering crypto gaming and are doing this full time? Probably not a lot. And there's a good reason for this, because it's just not really a space that's growing right now. It is really dry in terms of capital. You know, our hope is that our industry will thrive and will be okay. But overall, it's come to this point where I feel like a lot of this hate comes from back here when people had a bunch of money into things, and then they forgot about everything that happened in this entire road. The same applies to pretty much every crypto gaming project. People will focus on all of this period of downturn on cryptocurrency prices, but they'll forget about the fact that, you know, these games are still under construction very much. They're still adapting constantly. There's still going to be many changes that happen to these games that do end up surviving. And maybe Axie Infinity decides that they're arrogant and don't feel like changing things, and they just die out, and they're just like, you know, most other crypto gaming projects. But perhaps they actually end up innovating, which they are at least attempting to do, and they end up building something out of their RP with many of the different people that are interested in it, and then they end up actually being something. So I feel like we should give our industry a little bit of slack here. We should give a chance to not only Axie Infinity, but many of the Web3 gaming projects that are really pouring their heart out there, when, to be honest, there's not a lot of startups out there that are coming into the cryptocurrency space right now. But with this being said, this is Classy Games. I hope you enjoyed this take from someone that doesn't own Axie assets, from someone that roasted the heck out of Axie Infinity back then and sold all of his Haxies. But at the end of the day, you've got to take your money when you've got to take it. You've got to be as unbiased as you possibly can be, and you've really got to give people an opportunity to redeem themselves. So till the next time, stay classy, and that's all.